Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Sean from the Trading Card Table. You can also call me Banana. I go by that sometimes here on the internet. Got my boy Sweeze over here, ripping some packs over at twitch.tv/the Trading Card Table. If you want to go say hi to him, good guy. He'll rip you some heat. We are a newer shop. We've been open for a little bit over a month, and we've started to build this amazing community of people who are new to Pokemon, old to Pokemon, new to card collecting, been around card collecting for a while. But one question that seems pretty universal in our community is, how do I grade my cards? What do I look for when I'm grading a card? And I thought I would make a quick video for people who are looking for a really easy tutorial step-by-step in not only how to send your cards to PSA or how to get your cards graded, but also what to look for, maybe some steps to take when you're taking the leap into the world of card grading, and how to save some money in that you're not sending something that's going to get a PSA 8 or PSA 9 and essentially you're just deducting from the raw value of the card. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to make a quick step-by-step tutorial. I'm going to walk through actually creating a submission that I'm going to submit to PSA myself. And yeah, let's get started. So we're over here at my lovely table. As you'll see here, I got a beautiful Lily's Clefairy EX. I actually have a bunch of Journey cards here. Journey Together cards that I want to send into PSA. Beautiful cards in this set. I don't know, I feel like there's maybe not most hype around Journey, but I love the set. You know, first thing I'm going to do here for any card when I'm thinking about sending it to PSA is we want to take a look at the centering. So the known regulation for sending a card to PSA is that in order for it to be eligible to be a PSA 10, that the border between left and right, top and bottom, all has to be 55-45 split at the minimum in order to be eligible to be a PSA 10. That's the very first step. When you pull a card, you're gonna look at it. It takes a while to train your eye. You're gonna look at it and you're gonna say, okay, this is clearly above 55-45. Is it worth sending? The answer is sometime. And what I mean by that is that there seems to be a notion going around the internet now. The PSA at some point changed their regulations from 60-40 split across the left, right, top, and bottom borders, and brought it down to 55-45 in order to make it harder to achieve that PSA 10. I actually emailed PSA, and if I can find it, I'll pull it up here and I'll put it somewhere on the screen, somewhere over here. And I asked them this. I said, hey, you know, I actually had a submission in at the time that the regulations changed while that submission was in progress between the time I sent it and between the time it got there. And I got an email back from them, and they essentially said, the regulations have always been 55-45 for the borders, and that they give their graders up to a 60-40 allowance for their discretion. So you're going to hear that word a lot when it comes to PSA grading. Really, at the end of the day, whoever's holding your card, whoever's grading your card, they're going to have a lot of discretion over whether that card is going to be a 10 or not, even if it's perfect. I'm sure you've all seen some videos of some beautiful looking cards coming back as 8, 9s, and you know, I'm sure most of the time there's reasons for them, but at the end of the day, it's going to be discretion. You're going to say, "Whoa, how did that get a 10? It's got a white dot in the back. How did that get a 10? It's over 60-40." You know, they have that allowance of up to a 60-40 border split for their discretion. That's the first thing, really important to know. I kind of want to squash that rumor on the internet. A lot of people are spreading that one around. It does not change. It's always been 55-45 with the discretion for the grader who have up to 60-40. So that's number one. Hey guys, one other note. I realized after recording the video that I didn't really show you guys a good example of how to kind of determine if a card is maybe you want to send it, maybe you don't want to send it, you're not quite sure on the centering. One thing I like to do before I send my cards, especially if I'm not sure how I feel about the centering, is I'll actually use this app called Card Centering, which you can get on the App Store on iOS. I don't actually know if it's on Android or not, but definitely think it's worth checking. So here's the app. It's called Card Centering. You can upload an image or you can take one. I like to take a photo right in the app just because it gives you these little levels so you can make sure your card is nice and flat. The picture has to be super flat and super centered. So you might use a little off center here. I'm just going to straighten them out. There we go. Take a picture. There you go. So you're gonna get these lines right here. You're gonna line it up. I'd also recommend doing it honestly outside of a top loader and a penny sleeve. I think it just helps the app take a better picture. You'll see if you don't take a good picture, the picture will be like all kind of skewed and crooked and come out weird. So if it looks like that, it's probably a lighting issue or something else. So, you know, this hyper rare Mew, this gold Mew, wasn't sure if I wanted to send it or not. You'll see the top bottom is almost 5248. So that's looking decent, but the left and right is 55.6 44.4. So this one is not a guaranteed contender for a 10 on the centering side, but you know, I might risk it anyway because it's so close. So if you're not sure, I highly recommend this app. I think it's like $5 for the pro version. So this is what I do if I'm not entirely certain, just in looking at the card, if it's gonna be good to go or not. As you can see, this one's like a little bit right heavy, so I was confused. Right left heavy here, and I use the app and it tells me, you know, you're close, man. So well, maybe we'll give it a risk. And yeah, right, back to the other guy. Now we touched on the border. The next thing you're gonna want to look at is you're gonna want to flip your card over. You're really gonna want to take a good clean look at the corners. When cards come out of the pack, a lot of times what's gonna happen, that's gonna be a PSA 10 killer in English cards, at least, not so much Japanese. You're gonna see white dots on the corners of your cards. They're pretty hard to miss once you know what you're looking for. So let's see if we can actually find an example of one with a white dot here. There's a slight one here. Okay, let's see if we can actually see this. So on this Lily's Clefairy here, you're gonna see great centering. When you go and look at the corners, see this very clean corners, very, very clean. There's actually, here we go. There's a little white dot here. And so from my understanding, there's actually a rubric, I'm sure you can find it online, that PSA goes by. They kind of average out a score based on the borders, based on the corners, and they kind of tally it up to come up with what the PSA will be at the end. The PSA score will be at the end. So sometimes I've gotten away with one dot. Sometimes I've gotten away with two little dots. In this case, just because it's such a high value card, I'm going to go ahead and risk this one for sure. Now let's see if there's anything in here that's a little more egregious. So in this case, this is a Iono's Belly Bolt. So we actually have one on the top left here. It's a little bit larger, a little bit more noticeable. But we have almost one that's just as noticeable, if not worse, in the bottom left. So this one's a bigger risk to me. Might not send it. So those are the things you want to look for. I feel like a lot of rule of thumb people, it seems to be 3. That seems to be like the cutoff for them, where they're like, absolutely not. I'm sending it raw. Any dog hair, apologize. Franklin is running around, shedding like usual. So those are the things you're going to want to look for in the immediate is centering, turn it over. You're going to look for white dots. The next thing you're going to want to look for, and this is a little bit harder to see, but it also can impact your card, is you're going to want to see if there's any print lines on your cards. Very hard to see. You're going to have to get the lighting just right, but you know, just make sure there's nothing crazy. See this like a lot on like on a 151 Squirtle. You see it a lot. So that might be a good one to take a look at. You might be able to find what I'm talking about. Sometimes they'll look like a little star or just a fat line going through. And when you shine the light on it at just the right angle, you can see what I'm talking about. A little bit harder to see, but keep an eye out for those, because those can also take away your PSA 10 right at the finish line. So those are some things to look out for. And on top of that, you're just going to want to look for any dings, dents. Sometimes you'll see raised cardboard. Something else I've seen actually is that you can get away with printing errors. So sometimes PSA will allow for a printing error to still pass as a PSA 10 if it's not too egregious. I actually had a card recently that I saw had a printing defect on it, and it really bummed me out because it's a beautiful card. I actually have it right here. It's this Latias EX from Surging Sparks. Absolutely adore this card. But when I got it, you'll notice, I don't know if you can see it right away, but you can see that there is a red dot right on his neck. And that really bummed me out because I figured, shot, it's cooked, it's no chance for PSA 10. But then online, I actually saw a creator, Poke Safari, I believe, on TikTok, picked up this Latias card with the exact same printing defect at a card shop, called out that because it is a printing defect from the Pokemon company, essentially, in the printing process, that PSA will have an allowance for small printing defects. Fair enough, his card got a 10. You can go check that out on his TikTok. So I will probably be sending this one, which will hopefully get a 10. You can probably find a reveal at some point on our TikTok page at the trading card table. Now we talked about border, we've talked about white dots, we've talked about print lines, print defects, all things to be looking out for. Now let's actually get into some of the steps I like to take now that we know we have a card we want to send PSA. So I have the card that we all feel good about. Centering is pretty decent, maybe not super perfect, maybe slightly top heavy. I think it's within 60-40. I'm gonna risk it, even with that one little white dot. Too high value for me to not go for it. So decided I'm gonna send this thing PSA. Now my first step here is and this is totally optional. I actually didn't used to do this at the beginning of when I started submitting cards, but now I like to do it just to give myself a little boost. I don't know, you never know, you might take some dust off. One thing to note, PSA actually just so they grade the cards as you submit them. You submit it with some dust on it, fingerprint, they grade it as is. So they're not, I believe I heard they're going to offer cleaning services soon, but I won't use them because, you know, I can wipe down a card with microfiber cloth myself, and we're going to do. So what I like to do here is I like to make sure there's no dust around the card. I like to just take the card, put my finger right around, and just small circles wipe the card down. Give it a nice little cleaning, make sure we get any super gently. Don't want to damage the card in any way. Just make sure you get any dust, fingerprints off there. Actually notice this card has a little bit of a bend. I don't know if you can tell when it won't lay super flat. It's got a little bit of a bow here. I'm actually just noticing this for the first time as well. You see that? Hard to see, but you can tell a little bit. Maybe if I do it over the pink. Yeah, it's got a little bit of a bend here, a little bit of a curvature. PSA actually won't grade against that. I know I see some people ask that as well. If PSA will, you know, they think their cards are cooked because they have a little bit of a bow, but you're totally fine. They won't grade against any curvature. So good to know if you ever have some cards older cards that are doing that, or newer cards, and that's reactive to humidity. So you don't sleeve your cards super quickly. Put them in a top loader, put them in a penny sleeve, reverse penny sleeve, then top loader, please. They will start to bow if they're hollow foil. So once you pull them out, make sure you got that penny sleeve ready to go and that top loader, and yeah. So we have our card here now, nice and cleaned up. I'm gonna get a fresh penny sleeve here. I'm gonna put that right on in. And what PSA wants is, just per their guidelines, is they want you to use a card saver, which is different than a top loader. So make sure you keep that in mind when you get this card saver here. I like to use PJU. I get these on Amazon. They're super cheap, super affordable. I buy them by a lot. I sell cards as well, so I like to send them out in this just because, you know, they get it in there right like that. Creates a nice little airtight seal here. If you have experience sending cards in top loaders, a lot of times they move around. And so I prefer to send them in like this anyway, and it's what PSA wants, and I want to keep them happy. So we have it in our card saver here. Now what we're gonna do is we could do this with as many cards as we want here, but just for the purpose of this video, I'm going to show you guys the next step, which is to actually create the submission. So there's actually two ways we can create a PSA submission. One is going to be through the PSA mobile app. The other is going to be through the PSA website. So I'll actually show you both here. They're both super easy to do. Just really depends on preference. So start with the mobile app here. So I'm on my iPhone. You're going to want to go over to the PSA app. You see I got a couple missions here in progress. Slab's coming back to me soon. We'll be doing grade reveals for those over at Trading Card Table. What we're going to want to do here is we can actually start a submission straight up just by, on the home page, you press scan a card or cert. So here we are. Move this into the frame. So we're actually just going to go ahead and take a picture of our card. PSA is going to find the card for us. Here we go. 2025 Pokemon Journey Together, English, Blazical Fairy. Gives you some information on the card. You can see like population stuff. Might be a little too new to see some of that. Oh no, there it goes. 936 PSA 10s. There you go. Gem rate of 36%. A lot of info in here if you ever wanted to do some research. So, you know, I'm gonna go grade. So now we've added this to our cart. If you want to do a second card, for example, just for an example, obviously I would put that in a card saver and clean it before I do this, but just as an example, you can scan another one. We'll scan the Latias as well. And you can do this over and over for, you know, as many cards as you need. If PSA doesn't identify your card, you can search for it manually, which is also helpful. So basically now you click the little cart button, you go to your grading cart, you go to proceed to review. You're going to pick your service level. If you have a PSA membership, you'll be able to do this bulk level here. In order to use this service level, you have to do 20 cards. So if we scanned in 20 cards, sent in 20 cards, which I usually do, you're going to end up using this service level just to start. And then if you're going to use under 20 cards, you're going to have to do this $24.99 submission. The reason why a lot of people end up using GameStop is because you get access to this bulk level without having to submit 20 cards. You can submit any number. So that's a third way you could send your cards to people. With the, you know, grain of salt, there's some cautionary tales online. You can look at those. So in this case, we only have 2 cards. So we have to do the value. We do proceed to checkout. I had to cut that very last scene there because when you go to that next step, you start showing your address and personal information. So I'm gonna cut that scene out. But when you get to the next step, it'll just say, here's how you ship it to us. And then it'll walk you through the instructions. It'll provide videos for you on how to ship your cards. Essentially what I'm gonna do after that. Hey guys, after I recorded the video, I actually realized that I had an issue with this part. So I wanted to just record it one more time. So sorry. New hat, haircut. Squeeze isn't streaming at the moment, but let me just show you guys the way to pack this up properly. So once you go through everything that we just looked at, you get down to the packing step. Here's what you're gonna do. You wanna take your cards. My Liliescal Fairy is now off to PSA, so pray for me. You're gonna want to take your cards. Let's just use these two as an example, the Glaceon Master Ball and the Volcanion SIR. You're gonna want to take those, put them in between, actually, sorry, for that. Take them, put them in some nice bubble wrap inside of your semi-rigid card holders like we talked about. Put them in the bubble wrap, fold it over nice and neat, get them on down. Put them between the cardboard. Once you put them between the cardboard, you're also going to get some rubber bands. And you're just gonna nice and easy on this side, rubber band that, get one more. And you'll see this when you submit, you'll actually get a video from PSA and they'll show you this is their preferred way of doing it. If you rubber band those two, you're gonna get some PSA submission documents right here. This is just a blank label I'm using as an example. You'll print the documents out once you check out at PSA. They'll provide those for you to print out. Print them out, fold them over, stick them right here in between. Then you're gonna do this. Got a box. I like to put some packing paper in the box. Sorry, we're a little zoomed in here. A little packing paper in the box. You're just gonna put it right on down right there. Fold it over. Now your cards are nice and protected. You're gonna close up the box. You're gonna take the little packing barcode that PSA will also provide to you when you check out. You'll see it. It'll all be printable and very clear when you check out on your PSA submission. You're gonna tape that to the side of the box. That's gonna tell PSA's receiving team exactly what submissions are in this box. And you can also do something where if you have multiple submissions, you can go ahead, combine them, and then adhere that PSA receiving team label right here. You're gonna take this box on down to UPS, USPS, or buy the label online. You're gonna wanna do, my recommendation, 2-day shipping. 2-day shipping. I also do recommend combining submissions if you wanna break them up into smaller submissions. Some people do large, some people do small. Either way, the shipping can get expensive. So I recommend 2-day shipping, and I like to combine as many submissions into one shipment as possible, just to save on the money. But in my personal experience, I've had problems with shipping that's been over 2 days. So I recommend 2-day shipping, but like I said, it gets expensive. So up to preference, up to budget. So yeah, sorry for cutting in there. Let's get back to the other guy. He's actually going to show you how you can do the submission on desktop. Not going to repeat the packing steps just because they are exactly the same, but I'll show you the alternative way. And yeah, so here we are. We're on the PSA website. Super similar to what we did on the app. If I refresh here, we might actually see. So yeah, we actually see our in progress submission, and we can just continue it here, which is also nice if you're if you're ever looking to move from your phone to the desktop. When you run into an issue, I find where you have to now search for a card, it becomes a little bit easier to handle it on the website sometimes. But again, it's all up to preference. So in this case, no scanning involved. I'm just going to type in Lily's Fairy EX. So let's see. Right here, here's Chinese. One thing with the search, which is why I like the scan, is that it can be a little bit sensitive. So it's like you'll get a lot of the Chinese, and oh, here we go. Here's the English. A lot of times you're gonna look for the language code. So you'll see EN, which in our case is English. We're gonna add that here. Continue to review. You're gonna review the submission, and then when you hit continue to checkout, you'll get your submission number. You'll get your shipping instructions, everything I just went over. It'll be super clear from that point on. The only reason I'm not providing those screens is just because it's going to show my address and a whole bunch of other stuff. But you'll get your submission document, put it in with your submission. You're going to rubber band it around, put it in a box, go down to UPS, ask them for 2-day shipping to the address PSA provides you, and send it off. It'll get there. Once it gets there, you can track it all through the PSA website and the app. Right now, their turnaround times are like 2 to 3 months, very behind. But essentially, that is the process you're going to want to go through to send your cards to PSA. I hope this video provided some value for you. Again, there's our boy Squeeze over at twitch.tv/trading card table. Rippin' Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. You can catch us on Twitch, TikTok, and if you ever have any questions on trading cards or anything related to collecting, we'd be happy to chat it up. We have an awesome community just getting started here with people who play Magic in our Discord, post their polls, generally hang, all good vibes. We're going to be making more and more videos around collecting. If you have anything you have questions on about collecting, we would love to make videos and provide that value for you. So yeah, drop us a line, let us know, hop on in chat, and give us a shout. We'd love to chat it up. And yeah, hope to see you around. Again, this is Sean from Trading Card Table. Good luck with your grades.